Hello, it's Scott Manley here with episode 70 of Interstellar Quest. We once again join Jebediah Kerbin, brave aerospace pilot, flying his modified nuclear-powered spaceplane. It lifts off with ease. This is a new version. It is stretched quite a bit. You see that it has new radiators on the wings. It has a couple of extra surface-mounted features, and it has a power conversion system there, which is very important because, of course, that will generate megawatts of power, which are needed to power the antimatter containment system. But we're going to basically take this up to meet the prototype antimatter harvester and bring a small sample back to Kerbin for a new project that we're working on. And right away, things go badly. We've just lost the life support supplies. That would have given us 10 days to loiter in orbit. Now we're only going to have 24 hours, but given Jebediah's skill, he probably just views it as excess mass that he can afford to get rid of. He'll be able to get back to Kerbin within the 24-hour time limit that the onboard capsule life support gives him. Now, as it turned out, making the modifications to make this work wasn't quite as easy as I had expected. It turns out that if you add a docking port on the top, it adds a huge amount of drag, and I literally went from a stable speed of about 1,000 meters per second to about 500 meters per second on atmospheric air. So I ended up having to get rid of that. I'm going to hopefully use the Kerbal attachment system fuel pipe to pick things up. It is very, very important to minimize the amount of drag, as it turns out. Having things that stick out from the surface can be really bad, which is why I fold that out and then right back in again, because I didn't want the radiator to get torn off I didn't want it to get torn off, so I fold it away until I'm back in space. Now, yeah, the original plan is we put it into a small 200-kilometer orbit, and from there we will then boost to the 900-kilometer orbit where the target actually is. And we obviously have to do this within the 24-hour time period and return safely to Kerbin. Engine fires up, puts us into orbit. Brilliant. And now from here it's a case of finagling the maneuver nodes until I actually get the kind of encounter that I need. Yes, lots of dragging, lots of clicking, lots of rolling with the middle mouse button, and lots of adjusting the camera till things are actually where I want them. Yes, I know I could use precise node, but you know what? I'm doing quite fine as it is. There we go. Brilliant little encounter there. We will make some corrections once we're there. And look at that! By the magic of editing, we are in fact almost there. There is the target, and now we're going to kill our relative velocity, and then we're going to aggressively approach it. So we're on a slightly different inclination orbit. That's the main difference here. So we're going to more or less slow it down, and once we're slow, we're then going to start burning towards the target to ensure that we get to it quickly. And you'll notice, actually, that my liquid fuel is getting quite low already. We've used a fair amount of our stocks. We've used over 100 units getting up here. That's because the aircraft was a lot heavier than the previous prototype, and we didn't really increase the amount of fuel. We had to use a very steep angle of attack to raise things. But regardless, we're going to approach this thing and perform our rendezvous there. Prototype antimatter harvester, please don't explode. Okay, good, you didn't explode. You never know when you're working with antimatter. What does MC Hammer and antimatter have in common? Can't touch this. Okay, that's a terrible joke, but he is an Oakland local, so I have to represent and all that, right? Okay, so we're going to park the spacecraft just underneath it, very carefully maneuvering it into position here. At this range and low velocity, it's up to the RCS thrusters to put us into position and hold us still, and I think I'll pass it over to old me to tell you what happened next. Jebediah Kerbin is ever so carefully using visual target acquisition and maneuvering and everything to try and figure out where it is. We want to get the spacecraft almost exactly below it. We have to be really close by so that we're practically touching, but not touching in a way that actually crashes the spacecraft together. I'm very aware that I have a pair of heat radiators sticking out the back, and if those fail, the reactor might decide to not work. Or moreover, if we don't have the heat exchangers, then the reactor will stop working and the antimatter will explode. That's always good to know. That's pretty good from a visual point of view. Now we have Jebediah. He is going to use these fuel pipes here to transfer fuel. This is part of the Kerbal attachment system. So what we do, of course, you've seen this in a couple of other places. We take the fuel pipe here, the end point. We grab it. There we go, grab. And you see, now we're just going to fly this over the small gap in between the spacecraft. Brilliant. You see, no need to dock, and these things have less of a problem with aerodynamics limitations. Let's say they have less drag than a single docking port. And we're gonna get ready. Link it, and link it. Oh, where are we? Okay. Oh no, that's the old 3D thing getting in the way. Come on, link. Brilliant. Now the two spacecraft are connected, and we can start transferring antimatter. Look at that. Oh, wait a second. Oh no, it's starting to oscillate. It's starting to oscillate. Oh no! No, this is not what I planned. Jebediah, get out of there! Get out! No, oh my god, what can I do here? Oh crap. Okay, let me see. Yeah, this thing. Okay, let's disable. Yeah, the roll isn't working. Disabled everything. Disabled the automatic, the control thingy. Disabled SAS, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, I need to try and right-click on things to transfer. I'm going to, first of all, transfer the antimatter. Maybe I can do that, and then maybe I can right-click and transfer. Come on, right-click. Right-click. Stay still, darn it, I'm trying to right-click on you. Oh, God, it's like pirouetting in the worst directions. Oh, this is awful. Oh no, this is not what I expected. And I can't time warp now either. I can't even cheat and time warp to stop the rotation. This is really not going as I had planned it. Jebediah is just standing looking at these two things dancing. I'm guessing that he's hoping that these things sort itself out, because that is his ride home. Okay, given that right-clicking is out of question, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the fuel balancer, yes. So I should be able to at least pump the antimatter across if I can find it. The good news is that so far nothing has actually crashed. They're not smashing into each other. Oh god, they seem to get worse and better. It is only a minuscule amount of antimatter, but actually it's going to be more than enough to run one of these antimatter-induced fusion engines. Okay, now we've transferred it. Now we just need to right-click on this pipe and detach it, right? Of course, right-clicking on something like this is actually incredibly hard. Moreover, it turns out that if you right-click on it, it doesn't actually provide an option to undo the connection, to unlink the connection. The only way to do it is to fly a Kerbal in there and have him do it manually, and if I was to try that, I would probably run out of EVA fuel before anything happened. So I came up with a new plan. Well, Jebediah has spent like 10 minutes in space now witnessing this strange... Honestly, it's kind of like a rodeo, as if... But we're not sure which is the horse and which is the rider, to be honest. I mean, strictly speaking, I can use time acceleration while I'm Jebediah to stop the oscillation, but as soon as I stop it, they're going to start oscillating again, and that's not going to work. I think the only thing I could try is because they're joined together, I have control of them, so I could try firing up the engines on the jet, on the spaceplane. Well, actually, I could technically try firing them all up, but I don't think I can right-click on things. So there we go. Now, the only trick is I have to turn off the engine before Okay, that's not going to work. I have to turn off, I have to hope these things break apart when the engine isn't firing, because if the engine is still firing, then it will probably carry it off and burn up all its fuel before Jebediah can catch it, and then he'll be stuck in space. Try again! Come on! That's it! That's it! No! Come on! Come on! Snap, darn you! What makes you so strong? Another go. This has to be it. This has to be it. I'm worried I'm going to run out of fuel to go home. Look at this thing! It's like a fairground ride in space. Oh, it's definitely... It's getting stretching! It's going to go! Yes! Yes! Now! Now it is flying off into space, and it's up to... It's up to Jebediah to catch it. Okay, where the hell is it? Okay, there it is there. Spinning away from me. That's one. And that's the other one. That's spinning that way. We got to chase after it as fast as we can before before it escapes. Okay, now again, strictly speaking, I could probably cheat and stop the rotation with time acceleration, but that would be, well, cheating. I could also let it go beyond the 2.5 kilometer range and it would just magically stop. But that also would be cheating. Okay, now we're starting to pull in. We're starting to get a little closer, and come on, ever so carefully starting to approach this. Okay, now we have plenty of time. We don't want to make sure we have fuel in reserve for actually getting on board. You have got to be kidding me! Well, their plane is now just sitting there in space, not rotating. Well, so long, challenge. Thankfully, or unfortunately, depending upon how you look at it, I don't have to try and, board a rotating plane. That would have been a lot of fun or pain. Anyway, okay, we have successfully returned Jebediah to his spacecraft. And he probably has enough fuel to get home, but who knows? We have, actually, it turns out that the rotation, you can see the spinning object has put them on two significantly different orbits. So the first thing that I really need to do is to perform a correction with the prototype antimatter harvester to put it back on an orbit which is sufficiently circular and close to the maximum antimatter flux location, basically the point where I'll get the most antimatter. And then it's more or less business as usual as we strive to bring Jebediah Kerbin back to the planet Kerbin. We of course skipped a couple of orbits to make sure that things are lined up more or less correctly. You can see that the space center is just going behind the planet now. Well, we of course cut out the whole orbital descent time. We made sure that everything was in the right place. You see that it was 7 hours, so we basically waited a whole other rotation of the planet. Now, the only thing is that I actually ran out of fuel and I could only get my periaps down to 41 kilometers. So the first thing I did was I put my nose way down to actually drop my periaps using aerodynamics to, basically push me into the atmosphere. And you can see that it very quickly overdoes it. So I start turning it the other way, trying to brake as much as possible. It turns out that high angle of incidence, high angle of attack, is a pretty good way to slow this spacecraft down. And there we go, down, heading towards 2 kilometers, down below 2 kilometers of 2 kilometers per second. The FAR flight system is continually warning me that I'm hitting large angles of attack and side slip. Doesn't matter, I'm just trying to slow things down to 1400 meters per second. The moon is rising once more, and the mountains near the space center come into view. So yeah, this was a relatively easy descent. We never actually suffered any overheating or anything. I think there's a slight pulling to the left because we have that part sitting on there adding drag. I should have probably just picked that up and thrown it away, but silly me, I left it behind. And hey, it just adds to the enjoyment / challenge / explosions, depending upon how you look at it. Now, even although we're out of fuel, this thing is an air breather. It doesn't need any fuel. It just fires up the reactor, and there we go. that lets us maintain our altitude and velocity. Of course, we're still trying to slow down and lose altitude. Just want to verify that I have control, get over these mountains, and then approach the target, approach the landing site with relative haste. So we're travelling at just under Mach, way up at Mach 1.7 or thereabouts. And dropping down over the mountains. The clouds coming out at last, suddenly popping up out of nowhere to hide those mountains from me. No doubt there will be pilots that will be caught by those clouds, but Jebediah Kerbin knows they're there, and he is already flying sufficiently high that he can avoid these things. Descent through the clouds. He knows for certain there is nothing there, unless the boys back in the lab have gone and built some giant tower, and he wouldn't put it past them. No, he wouldn't. But as he descends below the clouds, he sees that all is well. Other than a bit of, wobbling in the plane as he turns, apparently some of the struts that he used to have on the old plane aren't hooked up to anything anymore and are merely just flapping around in the wind. Anyway, back to old me to do this live. I tell you, it's a good thing I have decent yaw control here, because that thing is providing enough drag to continually drag me off center. Okay, get ready to lower the undercarriage, because we're getting close and we don't want to... Well, the undercarriage will actually help slow us down. That's the plan. We don't want to be coming over the runway too fast. There we go. Whoa! Okay, emergency. Throttle up. And... what the heck happened there? What in Kerbin's name is that? Oh, that is some bizarre physics thing. I'm wondering if there's some object that landing gear hit or something. That is... oh wow, I am so glad I opened the gear. If I just waited till I was just before the runway, I would have been dashed into the ground. Oh yes, okay, we have the pause as the game loads. Come on, load those objects for me. Load. There we go. Okay, 300 meters, and we're loading something else. Come on, you can see the tanker there off to the left, waiting with, waiting for the load of antimatter that I have. It will be bringing the bounty to the team. And we're going a little fast, so let's just try and let the velocity bleed off. And hopefully I won't run out of runway. It's always a danger that I run out of runway, because I think I just descend far too slowly. And here we go. Come on. No, come on. Just touchdown. Excellent. Kill your velocity. Brakes. Woohoo! We're down after... God, I thought I lost that mission twice due to physics glitches. That was like the physics glitch from space came back to say, aha, I'm gonna flip your spacecraft just for that. Okay, go to the tanker. Bring the tanker to us. So this is gonna be this is gonna carry resources which you normally have to create in KSP Interstellar. Really, it is just for antimatter. Helium-3 is another thing that you're supposed to create on your own, but it's kind of bizarre because the reactors include tritium, which is actually rarer and more expensive than helium-3. So given the process by which you create helium-3 is that you make tritium and then let it undergo radioactive decay with a half-life of 12.33 years, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to put in some helium-3, unless I really need large quantities. But we're just running a space program, not an entire civilization. Okay, so now we have our little fuel tank guy, who I forget his name, but he's going to come out and jump off the back here. Yay! Splat. Yes, he's just too eager to start refueling this thing. We gotta grab one of the fuel pipes here. There we go. Grab it and run over here. Find a place to stick it. Let's stick it on the wing. Attach it to the wing, because of course there will be an antimatter pipe through the wing. Right? Antimatter pipes everywhere. Okay, there we go. Link. Yes. Now start pumping the fuel. The tiny amount of fuel. We have only a minuscule amount, but it is more than enough for us to get our test vehicle flying. We're going to store it in here, and we'll take a look at that in a future episode. But until then, I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.